Hey friend, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time, welcome to the channel. Now in today's video, we are going to continue our in-depth Bible study, and today we're going to read chapter 13 of Genesis. So grab your Bibles and I'll cue the intro. Now in today's chapter, we are going to start reading about Lot. So if you've heard about Lot, Lot is the guy who had a wife, and his wife turned into a pillar of salt because she turned around. Okay, we're going to read more about that. But basically that's who Lot is, to try and give you a bit more context. But today, as mentioned, we're going to read for the first time about Lot, and we will probably continue reading about him for the next week or two. So let's start reading. So Abram went up from Egypt, and his wife and all that they had, and Lot with him, into the Negev. Now Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver and in gold, and he journeyed on from Negev as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place where he had made an altar at the first. And there Abram called upon the name of the Lord. And Lot, who went with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, so that the land could not support both of them dwelling together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. At that time the Canaanites and the Perizzites were dwelling in the land. Then Abram said to Lot, "Let there be no strife between you and me, and between our herdsmen and my herdsmen, for we are kinsmen. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself from me. If you take the left hand, then I will go to the right, or if you take the right hand, then I will go to the left." And Lot lifted up his eyes and saw that the Jordan valley was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt in the direction of Zoar. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself all the Jordan valley, and Lot journeyed east. Thus they separated from each other. Abram settled in the land of Canaan, while Lot settled among the cities of the valley and moved his tent as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were wicked, great sinners against the Lord. The Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, "Lift your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land that you see I will give to you and to your offspring forever. I will make your offspring as the dust of the earth, so that if one can count the dust of the earth, your offspring also can be counted. Arise, walk through the length and the breadth of the land, for I will give it to you." So Abram moved his tent and came and settled by the oaks of Mamre, which are in Hebron. And there he built an altar to the Lord. So when we look at verse 3, it says, "And he journeyed on from Negev as far as Bethel." Now, Negev in Hebrew means dry land, which I thought was quite interesting. It is also clear to us as we reach this chapter that Abraham was very rich because he acquired the livestock that Pharaoh gave him. He already had existing livestock as well, and slaves, male and female slaves, but he also had gold and silver, so he was pretty well set up. Now here we then read that Lot also had a lot of livestock, and he also had a lot of belongings, and that Lot's herdsmen and Abraham's herdsmen, they were basically fighting because there just wasn't enough space for both of their livestock and animals to just be in the fields. It was, there was strife between them, and it just wasn't working well, so they couldn't stay together. They had to separate, and they had to go into different areas, and that's why they separated. What I do think is really kind is that Abraham asked Lot to choose first. So Lot could make the first decision of where he wanted to go. And then Lot chose the Jordan Valley because of the water, and it just looked really, really beautiful to him. I just thought that there will be enough water too. And so then Lot chose to go there. Now, when we look at verse 10, and Lot lifted up his eyes and saw that the Jordan Valley was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord, which is referring, as we know, to the Garden of Eden. Now we also learn that in verse 13, that the people or the men that stayed in Sodom, but they will be referring to men and women, that they were wicked and great sinners against the Lord. So Sodom was filled with people who would sin against God and not wanting to keep the moral standards and the law. They were just plain wicked. And what I love is then in verse 16, this is where God made his promise to Abraham that he will make his offspring as many as the dust of the earth, so that it cannot be counted, just as he can't count the dust of the earth, which is absolutely beautiful. So that's it for this chapter. I look forward for us to going into chapter 14, where we will continue to read even more about Abraham and Lot. That's it for today. If you have any questions, please let me know. I pray that God will continue to bless you. Bye.
Hey guys, excited to announce that we now have a new section on our website where you can shop and support local Christian artists and authors. Do check it out, link in the description below.